Oh, I think I've got. Oh, is it started? Oh yeah.
I may fix a cup of coffee. I'm always thirsty these days. Lucy, we're both on diets. We're taking. She's taking Ozempic. I'm taking Manjaro. And I've lost nearly 40 pounds.
Wow.
28.
But I just have to keep hydrated all the time. It just always thirsty.
Oh, he starts off talking about how much his weight he's lost on the diet that he's been on, this special diet they've been on, and is that appropriate? I don't know. It's just like, oh, look how much weight I've lost. Oh yeah, my son's, abused and murdered this girl that they had a relationship with as well. They knew her. She stayed over at their house. No, it's not video. It's just audio, David. It's just audio.
Mm-hmm.
There's no video. It's only audio.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for meeting with us this morning.
Our pleasure.
This has been a long few days, long week, and I can imagine what it is for you guys.
Full of lots of surprises.
Yeah.
We're in the 7th ring of hell.
So the reason we made the trip down here today is I know you spoke to Alex, I think.
Yeah, Alex, yeah.
Yeah, with Orange County, and may have spoke to Corporal Ilgen that works with us.
Is he this tall, slim guy?
No,
Was
he's
he at Orange County also?
I think you may have talked to him out in the parking lot in Orange County.
Yeah.
Bald guy, probably wearing a SWAT shirt.
No, that didn't work. There was somebody else I thought was from Kissimmee PD, but
Mm-hmm.
I thought actually you were him.
So appreciate it. But since I'm the lead detective and he's my partner in the case, we kind of want to get eyes and talk to everybody that's involved. That's the only reason. So the reason we're here is basically try to get a background of what you know about Stephan and Jennifer's relationship and that sort of thing and stuff like that. So we can do it one of two ways. I can just give you guys the floor and you can let us know what their dynamic was, or I could do it question and answer wise, whatever's more comfortable for you.
Well, if you do it question and answer wise, you'll get the answers that you wanted. If you let us.
So it's a shame for the dog because I've had to put her in the bathroom. It's not her fault. That bloody chihuahua's out there's just barking randomly, but it's going to make her bark.
Sit here and ramble on for half an hour. You may not get what you want. You still have to ask a question.
Fair enough for me.
We can fill in the gaps.
Yes.
All right. So, any idea how long Stephan and Jen have been in a relationship?
7 years.
7 years.
7 to 8 years, somewhere in there.
Okay. And was it constant throughout those 7 and 8 years?
So 7 or 8 years in a relationship. But I think, didn't the abuse actually start more or less straight away or not far into their relationship?
Or on and off, or?
They were friends first, close friends first, and then it evolved into a romantic relationship. I think probably the first 18 months was just friendship, and then it changed from there. And no, we did not like the relationship.
Why not?
Didn't approve of it.
No.
Why
She was
is
a
that?
bad influence on it because of her
Drugs.
well, drugs plus I think she was taking medications for depression, anxiety, what have you, and I just didn't feel that she was going to be a good influence for me.
She's bipolar. She's bisexual. She's a drug addict. She had a young child.
She's bipolar, she's bisexual, and she's a drug addict. That's what the mother thinks. That's what his mother thinks about Jen. Bipolar, bisexual, and a drug addict.
The family was disapproving, and she was sharing those drugs with Stephan. And I don't approve of vaping. We don't do any drugs. We don't even drink. I can't even take specified medication for pain because my body rejects them, and I get really, really sick from it. So I mean, went through open heart surgery on Tylenol.
Wow.
So it's
So she says that she was sharing her drugs with Stephan. So of course it was all Jen's fault. It was all Jen's fault, not Stephan's fault. No, 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 no. Before Stephan met Jen, he wasn't taking any drugs of any kind, of course not. No, no, it's all Jen's fault.
And they were both,
she's
they slept all the time.
Yeah.
And you know, we had a hard enough time dealing with Stephan sleeping all the time, and now he's got a relationship with somebody else that does it as well. It's just like they were feeding off of each other, and none of it in a positive way. And that's why I disapprove. I disapprove of a lot of Stephan's
that's the only
people.
thing. Yeah, only thing her mother and I approved of together was the fact that we didn't approve of the relationship, because if Jim started spiraling down one of her holes of depression, she took Stephan with him.
Mm-hmm.
If he was depressed, he brought her in, and it was just always like a balancing act with those two. This is not good. It's not a good dynamic.
You know, when you said they were always sleeping like constantly,
Yeah.
Were they taking medicine to go sleeping, or they were just
They would fake out.
Well, Stephan has a sleeping disorder, sleep apnea. So
Now, this sleeping thing, this seems to be a big characteristic of their relationship. So they're sleeping a lot, all the time. And of course, part of that reason is because of the medication that they're taking. So it turns out that actually Jen, although she had a job, it was only part-time. She classes herself as disabled. She's on benefits and she works part-time. So it wasn't a full-time job that she had. So she was also sleeping all the time. Stephan's sleeping all the time. Then they were putting Madeline on medications. You know, their whole life seems to have been this whirl of drugs and sleeping. So, you know, it's horrible. That poor little girl, that's what she was living with.
he's been tested for it, and his he would be up all night and sleep all day.
okay.
Type of deal. And we really didn't have that much physical interaction with them.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that we just observed from a distance, and you know, trying to talk to Stephan at times, but we just really didn't have any social activity with him to speak of.
When Stephan would be here in town, like what would his routine be? Would he is he a homebody, or
He locked himself in his room, and we would see him maybe, you know, once in a while, tell him dinner's ready, but he was constantly in his room all the time.
Yeah, he's a man baby, isn't he? He's nearly 40 years old. He's still acting like a teenager. You know, where he's saying when he lived with, you know, when he was staying with them, he'd be in his bedroom all the time, like teenagers do. And they'd call him down for dinner, and that. It's like he never grew up. He's like the boy who never grew up, Stephan Stearns, like this sort of, and that's probably why I like young girls, because he can't relate to real women. And Jen's like a mother to him, and their relationship is just characterized by taking drugs, you know, prescription drugs, sleeping, you know, just being a Jen. I honestly think Jen doesn't even know what day it is. And I'm sure sometimes he's probably given her more drugs as well. It'd be easy for him to slip drugs in either of them's drinks, etc.
He was painting his little minis for Warhammer.
Yeah, he's
He
obsessed
spent a
with all
lot
that
of time
stuff.
doing that. A lot of time learning the new books as they came out. A lot of time online.
Yeah, he was painting his Warhammer. My son used to do that, you know, when he was about 11. He was painting his Warhammer. He was staying in his room playing on his games. I feel 21 as well, Jim. But the thing is, though, at least, you know, I don't. Do you know, this man is a different cup of tea. It's not how you feel inside. I mean, you're still functioning in your life, you know, looking after yourself, looking after your goats and things. This man, they were treating him like an 8-year-old, even though he's nearly 40.
He did go play Warhammer with the guys once a week. Tried to get him to go to the beach. Tried to get him to go to church. Tried to get him to go shooting with us. No.
Did he give an excuse why that he wouldn't want to
Didn't
go?
feel like it.
Just no motivation.
And he walked around with Jen on the phone on FaceTime all the time. I would be in the kitchen. I would look up and I would see Jen, and she's like, oh. And I look at her and her eyes are open. I said, Jen, are you baked? And she says, oh, yeah. I'm like,
And this is recently or
that
throughout
was
the
in
years?
the last few weeks, yeah.
Okay.
He wasn't. I brought him back in December because I was supporting him living there, and I didn't know that I was supporting the whole family.
Mhm.
Again, Stephan's great at omitting information, not being transparent with me, and I just reached the point and said, I can't afford to have you working for Disney,
Mhm.
and there's always a deficit in this budget for one reason or another, but somehow he had expensive toys and what have you, and where the money came for that, he didn't even actually arrived here. Packages were arriving. I said, well, I'm not giving him any money. Where the hell is it? Stephan, it's money I saved. And I'm sitting here going, Bohica. You know what Bohica is? It's an acronym. Bend over, here it comes again.
Mhm.
And,
So they were still paying for everything for him. You know, they were paying for his phone. They were giving him money for petrol or blah, de, blah, de, blah. You know, he wasn't supporting himself at all. Either they or Jen were paying for everything. Stephan didn't have any money because he wasn't working. And I just want to say as well, I blame both these, you know, because quite often the mum gets blamed. You know, people say, oh, he was a mummy's boy, but he was a mummy and daddy's boy. You know, it wasn't her that spoilt him. It was both of them. It was both of them enabled him. Terrible.
he called me up and said, well, I'm short of funds. Can you, sell me $150, send him that. But meanwhile, now he's telling me he's got money in savings, which I didn't believe.
Mhm.
So where the money was coming from, I have no idea. But these packages just kept arriving.
When you would support him, how would you get him money?
I sell it.
Okay.
And I paid him, Juan charged Jen rent, and then in November of 2022, the reason why I know that because I looked it up the other day. I said, how far back have I been paying rent there? But he started charging Stephan rent, even though he was sharing a room with Jen.
Mhm.
And then they decided that they weren't going to be in a relationship anymore, and he took over a full room, and now I had to pay $600. And so this just kept escalating. He wasn't taking care of his car. I was waiting for that shoe to drop. So finally, I said, I can't afford you to live there anymore, and I moved him back here.
Mhm.
And I thought, we had hoped that the year that he had spent at Disney, that he had matured and was now, accepting responsibility and had a disciplined routine, and that I could bring him back here and help him maybe develop into something with a better career path than working for Disney forever and not getting anywhere, because
Mhm.
at $30,000 a year, he couldn't support himself if he wanted to live on his own.
Right.
And that turned out to be a huge disappointment because he fell right back into his same MO. Locked himself in his room, wouldn't help us around the house. And we were like on eggshells because when he was here, it was always tension because of his sleep disorder, and the dogs obviously are not the quietest things in the world.
Right.
And, they have their routine. We have our routine. So we let
They breed poodles, don't they? I believe they've got quite a lot of poodles. And he was moaning, wasn't he, Stephan, that when he went to stay at his parents, he had to put up with all these. He's supposed to be an animal lover, but he was moaning that when he went to his parents, he had to put up with all these poodles.
out in the evening, and it's chaos with them. Let them out in the morning, it's chaos. But for the most of the time, they're at feeding time. They're quiet,
Mhm.
But again, that would disturb him, and didn't want to cause a flare up with them.
So when it would disturb him with the dogs, was that during the daytime or was him trying to sleep at night?
Oh, it could be any time.
Oh,
And
okay.
if anybody comes to the door, get a package, a rat farts in the yard, doesn't matter, they hear it.
Mhm.
I
So
have
if he's
a-
sleeping during the day and we're doing our daily routine, there's going to be distraction. If I come in the house and go, hey, I'm home, they'd be alarm party.
Right.
So, but I would just hope that he was soundly sleeping and that he would just sleep through it. But occasionally you would hear a bark out from him.
Or if he had his headphones on.
So when you said you brought him back in December, do you remember when first part of December, end of
I'd have to
December?
look up. It'd be early part of December because I was trying to get him out of there. I thought it was the end of November. It could have been at the very end of November or the very first part of December because I didn't want to owe another month's rent. I wanted them out of there.
But did he mention if they were split up at that time or if they were still?
Well, they were supposed to be officially broken up.
Mhm.
And
Did he ever say why they broke up?
they just, well, I mean,
Yeah.
yes and no. I mean, Jen told me as recently as last week she didn't want him as a partner.
Mhm.
She realized that he was not going to be a good partner, but I assume that they both recognized that they wanted to go their separate ways. And I would say that occurred several months before because there was one time he mentioned he was socializing with somebody at Disney and that didn't go over well or something. She didn't like that. So
So we both told him he would never get into a healthy relationship until he got away from her because what are you going to do? You're renting a room, you're going to bring a new woman into your room with your ex in the next room?
Mhm.
I mean, that's a bad recipe.
Did this ever happen within the last 7 years? Did they break up and get back together and that sort of thing? Or
I don't think so.
I seem to recollect that there might have been a pause in that relationship, maybe to the extent of how involved the relationship was. Maybe it became more social than more of a relationship type of thing.
Mhm.
But again, clueless as to exactly the extent of how involved the relationship really was. I mean, I always thought it was just good friends and sex with benefit type of thing.
Mhm.
But I don't know how committed they were to one another.
And that was going on all the way up until December.
Well,
What do
actually,
you think?
before December, because like I said, when he went into the room on his own, that basically was probably the time that the relationship ended. So,
Mhm. Do you remember when that was? You said November?
Yeah, I'm going to try it. Let's see. He left in December, maybe 3 or 4 months before he pulled out of there. I think I only paid 3 or 4 months and 600, maybe 3 months. I'd have to look it up.
Do you know if when he came back here in December, was he ever making trips back to Kissimmee at all?
There was I think 3 occasions he went back. This last trip
Mm-hmm.
with when all this stuff happened, a trip before that, and then he went back for Thanksgiving, or he was there for Thanksgiving. So
Thanksgiving and Christmas.
yeah, so he wasn't invited to the family events, and but he was there at that time.
Okay. I'm assuming just visiting Jen, or was he visiting other people?
He was visiting Jim.
Yeah, I wouldn't know who else he would be associated with at that time.
Okay.
I don't think he had any relationships outside of Jen.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I think there was a time or two he mentioned that he was going to go out with some cast members after work,
Mm-hmm.
But-
Carol was one of them.
but that's the only time.
Has he ever lived in Kissimmee prior to meeting Jen?
No.
No. Okay. Always here in Northport, or has he lived out
Well, we
elsewhere?
moved here.
Windermere.
We moved here May of 2020, so it was always at our home there, or he lived here. And then we
Okay.
finally got him out of here, and there was an opportunity for him to go live in Kissimmee.
Okay. But with Jen is when he went to Kissimmee.
Yeah, not on his own.
They were both supposed to be working at Disney together, but she can't keep a job
Mm-hmm. Do you know why?
because of the bipolar.
Well,
She doesn't want to lose her state benefits.
but depending on the type of work, she had back issues or something,
Mm-hmm.
so she couldn't do physical things. Now she did have a job as a concierge that didn't require any pressure or stress on her back or something.
Mm-hmm.
But there was always something that prevented her from working. couldn't do dog sitting, whatever job it was, it would last no more than 2 weeks. And then she'd be
Then she was
crashing
going to go to
home.
school for nursing. And I'm thinking, oh my God, save the world.
Well, then she was going to get into graphic design.
Oh yeah.
Dad bought her an Apple computer thinking she was going to take these classes or online, and that didn't last long either.
And you're hearing this from
Her.
Stephan? Oh, from both of them. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So again, they're really down on Jen, you know, all the things, she was going to do this, then she was going to do that. And, you know, and they just literally, I mean, the thing is that when they were saying, oh, I don't know if it's friends with benefits and this, that and the other, but you know, they were together 7 years, so it must have been quite a serious relationship. But of course, we all know now that Stephan was not there for Jen, was he? He wasn't in that relationship for Jen, he was in that relationship for Madeline, and that's probably why he even started the relationship. It was probably nothing to do with Jen. Jim, I don't know what you mean by a slave.
The thing that we're basically telling you is a lot of it's hearsay from what we were told. We didn't physically observe this, any of this stuff. Very, very little interaction with them. Then when they were here, you know, they were either in Stephan's room. Maddie always slept with Debbie, but Maddie floated around here, played with a dog, did things little girls do with Debbie.
We did some arts and crafts together.
Teaching her knitting? Crocheting, yeah.
So that was going to be my next question. So Jen and Maddie and Stephan came here to visit at some point, or a few times maybe.
Yeah. But if he was here, living here, she would actually come down.
So yeah, they'd met them several occasions. They had a relationship with Madeline. You know, at the end of the day, I suppose if you'll hear in a minute, he says that Madeline called Stephan Dad. So technically, they were grandma and granddad, weren't they, to Madeline? But they're very dismissive of her. Very dismissive of her, even though they had built, you know, they must have had some sort of relationship with her.
Okay.
But again, very few trips. The last trip we saw them was, and we didn't see, but I think we saw them early 2023, and then maybe for Thanksgiving 2022.
Okay. And then when they were here, you're saying Stephan and Jen would sleep in or would hang out in Stephan's room, and then Maddie would sleep with you, be with you. Okay. Why is that?
Number one, he's a slob. Number two, he only has a queen size bed.
Okay.
And number three, I didn't think it was a healthy environment. Like they were going to have her sleeping on the floor, on a sleeping bag. And I said, I have a king size bed. I sleep on 36 inches of it. There's a whole side of a bed. Why can't she be comfortable? So I just insisted that she come in with me, and I had the dogs with me. So if she got up, what Jim used to tell me was, you know, she would wake up in the middle of the night, she'd come and climb in bed with them. I said, well, you're gonna have the dogs here. If you get out of bed, you're gonna rouse the dogs up. So,
I got you. Did they ever talk about their sleeping arrangements at their house in Kissimmee?
Just what I just told you, that if she had a bad dream or something, she would come in, and I told her as Maddie got older, because we've known Maddie for 7 years, we watched her grow up. I mean, this is very hard. She sweet girl she was, but then she started, in the last year, she started showing signs of bipolar as well. And Jen was horrified by that. They were butting heads like two rams. They were fighting all the time, and they're presenting a very different family dynamic than what they told us was going on.
And you witnessed them butting heads, or?
No, I would be on the phone with Stephan. I would hear them going at each other in the background. That's, you know, and I would say, what's going on? Well, Maddie and Jenny are at it again, you know, and I gotta go break this up. So he would go be the peacekeeper. But I just put that down to puberty. She started puberty at 11.
Right.
Hormones.
So what did she say there? She was precocious. She was starting to be precocious. This is where she starts to, honestly, when she said that, I just thought she's blaming Madeline as, you know, let's just listen to that again. She's awful, this woman, isn't she? She is awful. Now, she may not have murdered Madeline, but the way she's talking about her and like making excuses. The thing is, her son abused this girl and murdered her. That's not anybody's fault. It's not even Jen's fault. You know, people can say what they like about Jen shouldn't have sent her up to the bedroom, and she shouldn't. But she still didn't mean that Stephan had to do that. Stephan takes the responsibility for his own actions. Nobody can make you abuse a child. Oh, yeah, it was Jen's fault because she put us in the bed together. Well, I know that didn't help, and don't get me wrong, I'm not defending her for doing that. It was wrong. But he, you know, she didn't, you know, get hold of his and, you know, if, do you know what I mean? He did it. Take responsibility for it. Now, that is her son. At the end of the day, I suppose you still love your son, whatever. I don't know. I hope I never have to find out, you know, what happens in that case. But the most thing you can do at least is accept his responsibility, you know, admit that he is responsible for his actions. Nobody made him do it. Nobody put a gun to his head and made him do it. He did it. He did it. Other people like Jen might have made it easier for him by being thick and stupid or drugged out or selfish, but they did not put a gun to his head and make him do it. He did it. It's his fault. It's not anybody else's fault. It's certainly not Madeline's fault. Let's go back a little bit to hear that again.
Did they ever talk about their sleeping arrangements at their house in Kissimmee?
Just what I just told you, that if she had a bad dream or something, she would come in, and I told her as Maddie got older, because we've known Maddie for 7 years, we watched her grow up. I mean, this is very hard. But she sweet girl she was, but then she started, in the last year, she started showing signs of bipolar as well.
So she was a sweet girl. She was a sweet girl, but in the last year, she started showing signs of bipolar. For fuck's sake, of course she started showing signs of bipolar. She was showing signs of being abused by your son. Honestly, these people, you just think, what planet are they on?
And Jen was horrified by that. They were butting heads like two rams. They were fighting all the time, and they're presenting a very different family dynamic than what they told us was going on.
And you witnessed them butting heads, or?
No, I would be on the phone with Stephan. I would hear them going at each other in the background. That's, you know, and I would say, "What's going on?" Well, Maddie and Jenny are at it again, you know, and I gotta go break this up. So he would go be the peacekeeper. But I just put that down to puberty. She started.
He was the peacekeeper. She just put it down to puberty. Good God. Awful woman.
Puberty to 11.
Right.
Hormones that you need, but anyhow.
So she's saying she had her first period at 11. So she could well have been pregnant, Madeline. Well, I doubt if she was on the pill or anything like that. So, you know, he must have been using condoms, I suppose. I don't know, but 2 years of she'd had her periods for 2 years. It's possible, isn't it? Very possible that she might have been pregnant.
She developed quickly, became pretty precocious, and other than that, I don't think she had a lot of friends at school.
She didn't have a lot of friends.
She was a very social person. She had been, if you remember.
Poor Madeline didn't have a lot of friends, not a very social person, showing signs of bipolar, precocious. She's just this woman, you just want to slap her.
Stephan and Jim both told us that after she began developing physically, that there were some boys at school last year that would push her up against a wall and grab a feel and bully her. And they were having a hard time with the school getting it stopped.
But anyway, when they visited here, she was either out here or they were watching movies together. But when it came to sleeping time, she was definitely in Deb's room.
Okay. Any time where either Jen and Maddie would be sleeping in that room without Stephan, or okay, so the only person that would separate from them would be Maddie when she was sleeping with you.
And like I say, she was always floating around because she was bored.
And before that, as you see the holes, we had a TV there. We didn't have one in my room that was big, very big, but we moved that one. So I would sit out here with Maddie when they were in there, and we'd watch TV together too. We even got the Disney Channel for her, so she'd have it.
Mm-hmm. Do you know if Maddie or Jen, when they were sleeping here, did they take medicine at night or anything like that you know of?
No,
Or did Stephan take any? Has he been prescribed any medication?
He has been prescribed an anti-anxiety medication and a ADHD medication. He's got Adderall and something clomidine, for sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the first part of it is, but
Really didn't know his medical routines at all, hers or Jen's, other than the fact that
she was always changing medications.
Mm-hmm.
she was, I think, taking medication for depressant and anxiety and bipolar. But I don't know anything beyond that.
She had a prescription for medical marijuana.
Medical marijuana.
So she vaped all the time, and she shared it with Stephan. I wouldn't allow it in my house. I don't like the smell of it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, if you're going to do that, you have to be outside. I just can't bring it in here.
Now, after Stephan moved back here in December and he made the trips back to Kissimmee, would he drive the silver car? Your
That's
car?
the first time he ever drove that.
No. He drove the silver car
Oh, that's
because
right.
his car was in dire need of servicing. So I said, last thing I wanted to do is go 2 hours north and be stranded. Now I'm dealing with a disabled car.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that car was up in maintenance, so I let him drive that car.
What's wrong with his car?
It's 1,000 miles over service. The brake jobs need to be done. He hasn't taken care of that car at all. It's probably going to need about $2,000 to $3,000 worth of repair on it. I'm sure if I take it in, I'm sure it's going to be $2,000 to $3,000. AC was been acting up on it, but I didn't trust it for long trips. If he was just commuting if he was in Kissimmee commuting to Disney, that's one thing, but not long trips.
Right.
Matter of fact, I had him tow it down here, not drive it down.
So is it safe to say this last time he came and then maybe Thanksgiving or Christmas is when he took the silver car, or Thanksgiving?
So this last time, then he made it. When he came down here, he made a trip. When he first got down here, he made another trip back to get more stuff.
Okay.
So that was one trip, and then there was a trip in between. I guess he went up for Christmas because I think he was here for Thanksgiving. And then there was this most recent trip. So as far as I know, I think it was just 3 trips.
Now, when he would come back from there, would he have like loads of stuff? Like, I don't want to say furniture because
It would just be leftover stuff that, for whatever reason, he had a 10-foot truck,
Mm-hmm.
and just the front end of it and all of the back was available.
So he rented a moving truck to grab.
I rented it.
Oh, okay.
It was more truck than he needed,
Uh-huh.
and why he didn't get everything he had was ridiculous, because basically they came down to his typical modus operandi. He waited till the last minute
Mm-hmm.
and then didn't have enough time to put stuff up there or whatever, but he didn't bring everything back with him.
Did he say why he didn't grab his stuff?
He didn't have to. Well, basically, if he did, it wasn't enough. He didn't have enough time. It was like bullshit. He had weeks to plan for this. I kept on him about that. He's completely opposite me. I start to organize stuff and get stuff done, not wait till the last minute, but he waited until the last minute. Very frustrating.
How long was he in Kissimmee when he made these trips?
Well, he stayed up there. If he went up there, he went up there for the day. Maybe he stayed up there a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
Usually. 2 nights, 3
No
days.
rush to get back. No urgency to come back.
This last time he went up here, or to Kissimmee, did he say why he was going to Kissimmee?
Her birthday.
Her birthday. Okay. Did he say he was invited to a party or anything like that? Or
I think he
Maddie
was
called and
asked
him to please come.
and you heard
I-
Maddie call? Okay.
Yes.
And do you remember when that was? Because I know she had a party on Sunday. Do you know
Was
when?
it Saturday
I guess.
or was it?
To make sure he was coming.
Something odd on Saturday.
Right.
And I don't know if was he invited on Saturday? Or did he just say Sunday, I'm going to Kissimmee?
No, I knew the week before because I found
Okay.
The gifts for Maddie.
Okay. He seemed to be very upset. Matter of fact, he came to me and said, do you have any anxiety medication? I go, no, sorry, don't have anything like that. Everything I have is for diabetes or heart.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went to Debbie and said, I don't have any. And then he came back and said, well, I found some 4-year-old stuff. I said, oh, okay. But he was suffering from high anxiety, man. I don't know what he was stressed out about.
When was this?
Sometime in the evening. I don't know.
Oh, Saturday or
Saturday.
days prior to that?
Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he's making, and then I guess the medication worked, and again he looked like he was like very stressed out.
Have you ever seen him like that before?
Yes, when he was very stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like better tiptoe, not sure if he's going to blow up or not. He seemed like he was calm enough, but I didn't know if anything could trigger him or not.
Did it seem like he was more in fear of something or scared of something or just?
It was a different, other than, being really upset about something, he looked like he was stressed out over something. And obviously he never shared any of his feelings with us. And
I bet he was stressed out. My God, wonder what, well, will we ever find out, what happened in the build up to it? Was there something that triggered it? Was it because she liked someone at school? Was it because she'd said she was pregnant? I mean, will we ever find the truth out? Well, we'll find a bit more out when the trial comes up, I think.
I had no idea it was stressing him out, but something really had him upset.
Angry upset or just not that type of upset?
Not angry upset, but
Okay.
just something worrisome. Just seemed like there was something that was really preying on him, and it was not settling well with him.
Mm-hmm. And that's when he told you guys he was going to Kissimmee, or did he tell mom prior to that?
Well, he was making plans to go to Kissimmee, and I don't know exactly when this happened, whether he told me on Saturday, but I knew he was leaving Sunday because we talked about the expense of that trip, and he said, well, Jen's going to pay for the trip, because I was done paying for this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, Jen's going to pay for it. I said, well, go down and fill up the car, and I'll take care of that. That will be enough gas for him to get up and get back, because that's all he was going to do. Mm-hmm. And so I'm assuming that the plans were submitted on Saturday, but you're telling me that you knew about it a week in advance, and maybe he started planning that a week in advance, but I wasn't aware of it until the last minute.
Mm-hmm. But he didn't have this fearful reaction earlier that week. It was just that Saturday.
Yeah.
Did he say how long he planned on staying in Kissimmee?
A week.
A week.
Yeah. We were planning on him to be gone for a week because we were welcoming the break.
Mm-hmm.
What do you buy her as a gift? You said you got her a gift?
I had ordered something, and they looked marvelous, but then I got it, and I think this is really probably too juvenile for me to wear. It's called Mermaid's Beads, and it's made out of sea glass, and it was a dual color bracelet, and they had the stud earrings and the same thing, and they were kind of opalescent. So they're really neat. It's by No Goo, and it's mermaid tears. But I said, these are still in the box. I've never even worn them. I said, why spend money on something? This is something she would really like, because I knew her enough to know this was something right up her alley. And I said, this is $90 worth of a gift, that's just gonna sit where it could be doing good someplace, somebody could enjoy it. So just gave him the boxes and said, "Are you going to gift wrap them?" He said, "No, I'll just take them like this." So,
How did you guys come to hear about everything that happened on Monday?
So I tried reaching Stephan. He called me when he got to Kissimmee Sunday.
Any idea when he called you?
I know exactly because I wrote out the timeline this morning.
Okay.
6:48 p.m. But then I noticed on some pass that he was out around 8:30, 8:48, and there were 2 sun pass tolls. And I said, well, maybe they had gone out or something. But I said, okay, that's a little weird. So that I tried to get a hold of him several times Monday morning, or maybe noonish or so, maybe as late as 2:30ish or something, and then I get a call from him at 3:17, and his voice sounded a little off to me. I thought, well, maybe he was just tired, and then maybe he didn't get a good night's sleep or what have you. And then during that conversation, he says, "Oh, by the way, I had a flat tire." Radar goes up. I go, "What do you mean you had a flat tire? Where could you have gotten a flat tire?" And I'm not going to say you can't pick up a flat tire anywhere, but he's just driving from here to the apartment and shouldn't be driving anywhere else per se. Oh, I just got a flat tire. Okay, where? 192. And then he described the fact that the tire was so flat that he ran the rubber off the wheel. Okay, 192, plenty of places to pull over, and you're driving the rubber off the wheel? So then he described that he was changing the tire and that didn't have it set right, and the jack collapsed somewhat and trapped his thumb between the frame and the jack and did hurt himself severely. And I think the conversation lasted about 3 minutes. And I said, well, let's get the car into a tire place and see what it's going to cost to repair it. I'm sitting there counting, it's going to cost me several $100s for this now. And then that was it. And then 4:54, I'm just getting out of the car, meeting a customer. I'm going to take him into a house, and he calls, and he says, I'm en route to Maddie's grandmother. There's been an occurrence. I said, well, that's a strange word to use, but okay. And then I'm thinking, well, this is weird. 2 events in one afternoon, the flat tire and now this. And so he said, well, I took Maddie to school this morning, and I dropped her off just down from the school because Maddie didn't want to be seen dropped off in front of the school because I'm not driving a cool enough car. I said, okay, well, understand that. Teenager, peer pressure, what have you. And he said, I watched her walk towards the school, down the rearview mirror as I pulled away. And so then he goes on to describe that she wasn't, it's been reported that she wasn't at school. We went to pick her up, and she wasn't there. Then we come to find out she hadn't been to school all day. And then he starts to describe that the area is a high abduction area. Kids are stolen for abducted, kidnapped for sex trafficking, and that there's a good chance that she's been abducted. Typical questions. What have you done to try to locate her? Have you contacted her old friends, social media? Where's her phone? Oh, she left her phone at home. Oh, okay. Yeah, she does that from time to time. And it was a 3-minute conversation, and he was sobbing. He was really sounded upset that he was holding himself responsible for this. Same routine that he did in that Tuesday interview. I think he was rehearsing it on me. And it was exactly the same routine, same explanation, the whole deal. And so then I kept in touch with them throughout the evening because they were waiting for police to show up, and it was hours, and I just kept checking in, any news. And then that was it. So until Tuesday. And then I didn't talk to him again until Tuesday, maybe it was the afternoon. And again, just trying to get an update, what's going on. And then as the day expanded, then police were now more involved. And there's interaction between, I guess, your department and the two of them.
Backtracking to Monday, so you talked to him, you said you tried calling him. When you tried calling him, did it call go right to voicemail, or did it ring a few times?
Combination of all of that. I mean, let me get my notepad.
And by the way, Jen had mentioned several times that Maddie was going through a phase where she didn't want to look uncool, and that it had become their routine to drop her off 1 block from school and pick her up 1 block from school.
And she told you this?
Yes. And she never said anything about it being a high traffic area or anything like that. She just said, it's a straight shot. We can see the school. There's an overpass. We make sure nobody's in the overpass, and so we just watch. And then Stephan said he took her by himself. And then in the interview, Jen said, we dropped him off. She said it several times. And so I don't know if, do you want any conjecture or no? The conjecture is that she and Maddie are the same size. She wore Maddie's clothes with the hoodie up to cover the dark hair instead of the light hair. And that was Jen himself sitting at the church in the picture. Because obviously, from what we've heard, Maddie was already gone by that time. So this elaborate charade put on for everybody's benefit. And she's cool, calm, and collected, and he's a sobbing, wet mess.
Yeah. So now she starts casting aspersions that Jen's not upset enough. She's calm and collected, and he's a wet, sobbing mess. Her little boy, he's really upset. He's the only one who's genuinely upset about Madeline disappearing. Well, yeah, because he's the one that's bloody strangled her or drugged her or done whatever he's done to her. Oh my God, this woman. So Jen's all cool and collected. Well, Jen's like bloody on another planet for a start, but she's cool and collected in one way because she hasn't done anything to Madeline. He's sobbing, a big sobbing wet mess because he's just bloody murdered her. Goodness me.
So my call to him at 2:25 was 2 seconds, so no connection. And then he called me at 3:17, and that conversation lasted 3 minutes.
And you said he was upset at that time, or he seemed?
No, he seemed off, and I said, well, maybe the anxiety medications or what have you was keeping him somewhat kind of flat, monotone in a way. Nothing upbeat about it. And then, matter of factly, I had a flat tire. We talked about that, and then.
Did he plan on taking the car to a tire shop? Did you guys confirm that plan?
I told him to. I said, he's driving on the donut. And we both confirmed that, the donut wouldn't last long and that, he needed to get that quickly replaced. And I expected him to do it. I didn't expect for him to do it that day because that's not Stephan's modus operandi. I expected him to do it the next day. So then I didn't hear from him until he called me at 4:54. And that conversation lasted 3 minutes. And, as I said, I heard this story about him dropping her off at school and the whole abduction thing. And I heard that even more later in the evening. But I thought to myself, how strange these two events happened and within a short time of one another that afternoon.
Did you question him about it or no?
No, I didn't think about it. When the call came in, he starts telling me that this is just a thought I had. It's kind of strange that coincidence that there were two incidents like that in that afternoon.
Okay. So moving on, you spoke to him around 4-ish, and that's when he said Maddie's gone missing.
Yeah, more close to 5.
Okay. And then you didn't speak to him again until the following day. Is that
No, I talked to him for 7 minutes at 6:02.
correct? Okay.
6:02, and then again for 5 minutes at 6:22.
And is that
So he knows all the times precisely, doesn't he? Because he's been, don't know if he was a police officer. He's been in law enforcement anyway. So yeah, he's very precise with the times that he spoke to Stephan. He's probably written it all down, because he knew he was going to be interviewed. But I think he's one thing I will say, I mean, he's happy to talk. Both of them are happy to talk. That's good as far as the police are concerned, isn't it? Because they're not sort of not wanting to say anything to, incriminate Stephan. In fact, if anything, the opposite, although they're not really wait till you hear the end of this, what she comes out with. I mean, you'll go mad. But, so, they're trying to sort of take the responsibility off him, but they're happy to talk about it. More than happy, aren't they? They're like very voluble. They're not holding anything back. I'll give them that at least. And that's good for the police, isn't it? It's good for them to get all that information. But you know what I thought, definitely, although I know they're defending Stephan, I bet they're really quite relieved that he's never coming back to their house, because it seemed like all he did was cost them money, cause problems. His room was a mess, blah, de, blah, de, blah. So they're already started clearing his room out. Well, he's not coming back, is he? He's never going to come back. So they're probably glad that they can get all this stuff out, get all this shit out there, put some different shit in there, get their own shit in there, put the bloody poodles in there or whatever. And it's probably a relief. And then also, never never have to pay any more money for it, because he's cost them a fortune. He's still costing them a fortune, even at the age of nearly 40.
just to get updates, or what's the conversation you're having?
Well, it was me. He called me at 6:02, and again, just briefing me, letting me know what's going on. There was an out call at 2 minutes at 6:18, and then another one at 6:22 for 5 minutes. And both of those, I was making the calls. And then nothing again until Tuesday at 12:16, 3 seconds there. And then out at 6:32, 1 minute. I'm not even sure if we had even a conversation. So that was, and then after that, no more calls from his phone. Now Jen's calling me on her phone.
Okay. Did they tell you why?
There was a conversation about whether the police wanted his phone and whether he should give it to him. And I said, do you have any reason not to?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, no. And I said, then give me your phone.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? So they had this conversation where he said, oh, they want my phone. And he said, have you got any reason not to give it them? And he said, no. But of course he did. He had a big reason not to give him the phone. But he factory reset it, of course, didn't he, accidentally? And even his dad says, that's bullshit. You can't, he said, you'll see in a minute. He says, even though I'm not very technical, even I know that you can't factory reset a phone by accident, But of course, Stephan didn't want to give over his phone. But you know what? You have no choice. You have no choice. You can't say to the police, I'm not handing my phone over. You just can't. You just can't say that to the police, can you? They'll just subpoena you or whatever. They'll arrest you and take it off you. So Stephan, really, if he was a bit more clever, I don't know if he just didn't want to let go of his phone, because he could have burnt it, thrown it in a river. There's a lot, buried it somewhere. There's a lot of things he could have done with it, but he kept hold of it, didn't he? He didn't want to give it away. He could have said he lost it and disposed of it, but he didn't want to do that. So anyway, he did this factory reset thing and thought he was cleverer than everybody else, but he wasn't.
Let's get this cleared up. What really upset me was in one of the conversations I had with him when it became apparent that he was going to be a person of interest. I said, well, you had your phone, you can document where you've been. Well, I left my phone at home. Okay. Let's backtrack. Were you anywhere that a camera could have caught you? Where'd you go? And it didn't sound like he went anywhere that a camera could track him. So I said, well, I understand that, but I'm not sure, where a camera would have been. But, thinking he was innocent, trying to help, pinpoint where he was so he could document his whereabouts, because of my understanding, there was a 2-hour gap between when he supposedly dropped her off and then when he returned home, because he said he called Jen at 10:17. And in matter of fact, my understanding why he called Jen at 10:17 was to get back into the community because she had to call him in. He didn't have his clicker.
Okay. Is he tech savvy?
My impression, no, but I'm hearing, hearsay from other people that he may have been. But when he told me that he was doing a OS update on his phone and it accidentally wiped out his phone, I cried bullshit. But there's always that one off. It could be, but when he starts saying, well, I accidentally pressed the button to reset them, then I knew it was bullshit. That's not in the process of an OS update. You just say, yes, go ahead and do it, and you leave it alone, and it updates and it'll let you know that your phone's been updated. End of story. None of this other bullshit.
Do you pay for his phone, or does he pay for it?
I pay for it.
Did you want this coffee?
Yeah, would you put some cream in it? Blonde like you, and
So yeah, he was paying for his phone. He's nearly 40. This man is paying for his phone.
Duke it in the microwave for 38 seconds.
How did you get to Kissimmee? Like, what made you go to Kissimmee?
Okay, so I got a call. I got a call at 9:30. And then I think that's when that discussion took place about whether to give this phone to the police or not. I said, you ever got any issue with it, give him the phone. Give him the phone. And then I got a call. And then I went to bed. I was 10 or something. I'm all tucked into bed. I got the boys with me. And I may have been partially asleep because I had my phone on silent. And then I woke up because the phone was vibrating, and then my watch would have been in the office. So the phone was vibrating. By the time I got it, there was no connect. So then that was at 10:42, and then I made an out call at 10:43, and then the conversation was about, you need to come up here.
And who says that?
They both did because they were on speaker.
Okay.
And Stephan said, hey, you need to come up here. And I said, okay. I said, so we discussed, they were being kicked out. They didn't have a place to stay. So I said, well, we need to figure out where to go for, where to stay, what have you. And so I'm jumping in the shower, packing a bag, talking to Dad, making plans to leave tonight, which I did it just after midnight. I tried to make a call to them at 11:56. It went to voicemail, and then I called her back at, now we're into Wednesday, so I called her back at 12 to let them know I was on my way. And then I also called my wife because when I left, the front door, if you notice, has an electronic keypad on it. That's why I think it's great.
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
It wasn't working. And it's been, it's electronic, and it's batteries in there since the day we moved here, so 4 years old. So when I tried to lock it, it's not flashing or anything. I did get it to lock, but I wanted her to know that, hey, if you go out, you're going to have to come back in through the garage door. The only way to do that if you had a clicker in your remote in your visor, but you weren't going to be able to get in through the front door. And then I got a call from them at 1:18, lasted for 2 minutes, and then at 1:51, 50 seconds, because I arrived at the hotel.
What were the conversation at the 118 area? What was that conversation about?
Just confirmation of where they were and where we were staying and the address of the hotel, because it was out off of west of Disney off the 420 now.
And from what I understand, did you pay for the hotel or did they pay for it?
They paid for theirs, and I paid for mine, but then it said a pet-friendly hotel, pet-friendly if you pay $150 for the night.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, all right. So I paid for the dog to stay.
Okay, their dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So he paid for the dog. He's paid. Stephan was lucky, wasn't he? Really, he was so lucky that he had parents paying for him. You know, I think Stephan. I don't think he's going to do that badly in prison because he's used to not doing anything for. I mean, apart from the fact he won't be able to abuse children anymore, which I expect he'll miss. But you know, he's used to people doing things for him, isn't he? He's not an independent person. So he's in prison and he'll get fed 3 times a day. I mean, he was whinging about the pillow, wasn't he, in the cell? He'll have a more comfortable bed now than he did then. You know, will he get the death penalty? This is Florida, isn't he? He might get the death penalty, mightn't he? Yeah, he might. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. This man has had everything handed him on a plate since the day he was born. And what has he done with it? Instead of turning that round, you know, thinking that he's a lucky person because he's had all this support, he's just turned into a twonk.
to reimburse it.
Mm-hmm. All right. And when you got to the hotel, you had conversations with Jen and Stephan.
Yeah, we were just greeting, you know, gave Stephan a hug and, you know, chit-chatted for a few minutes. I was busy checking in because they had already completed their check-in. They went up to their room. They were on the opposite end of me, but we were on the same floor. I went out to the car, you know, park my car, get my stuff and bring it in and go to my room. Then I went to their room, spent about 10 minutes with them, no more than 15. And then I was heading back to my room to go to bed.
What were the conversations when you were in their room?
I don't really recall. It was just, yeah, everybody settled in, everybody okay. You know, we'll just meet in the morning and you know, see what unfolds at that time. I'm sure there was going to be some more interviews or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
I planned to go to the office. Our corporate office is in Orlando, so I planned to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I was up 6:30, 7 or so. 6:30. Then I left the hotel around 7:30 to go to the office.
Okay. When you left to go to the office, was Stephen and Jen still there?
As far as I know, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I come to find out later when I got a phone call from Jen around 10 o'clock, 9:48 or so. I think it was 9:49. She called me. It lasted for about a minute to ask me if Stephan was with me.
Mm-hmm.
I go, no. Well, he's not here. How long has he been gone? Maybe 25 minutes. I said, okay, well, all right, maybe he's up running around, whatever. So then I get a call from her about at 10:17. Don't recall what that conversation was about. Then there was another call, 10:47, and I think matter of fact, I try to recall what time we talked about his not being there, and then I called back and said, well, I told her, I said, go down to the lobby. If he was gone for 25 minutes, go down to the lobby. Maybe he's down there.
Mm-hmm.
Seemed logical. And then after I hung up, I called her back and said, are your car keys there? And she said, no. I said, okay, interesting. So then I get a call back from her later saying that the detective had called and said they were going to come over within the hour to visit with them. And I said, okay, I'm on my way. So I left the office and drove over there and thinking, well, he's going to be in a world of hurt if he's not there when they come back because they'll probably put a bolo out on him and then just decide to arrest him because he's wandering around. You know, what's he doing?
Mm-hmm.
So
when you got back, was he there?
no, he didn't show up for another 15 or 20 minutes. Okay. And then I Do you know if Jen's car has a GPS in it? Nav system?
It does, yes.
Okay, well, that's part of his life. So, he came back in and said, well, I got lost in the back roads of Disney, no GPS and what have you. And I didn't think about this till later. I thought, wait a minute, Jen's got a newer car. Most of them have the GPS system in it. So because he didn't have a phone, and obviously he didn't have hers, he was trying to wind his way back to the hotel, but couldn't because he didn't have a GPS when in fact he did have a GPS.
Now there was talks of that he may have came here that morning.
Well, so when I finally got in to see Alex Wednesday evening, he said, what exit do you get off at when you come back to Northport? Tested my exit numbers, and I said, I think it's 179, Toledo Blade. And he said, did you know that Stephan was in Northport at 7:45 that morning? I said, really? No, I didn't. Then I later learned it was really 6:30ish, which meant that, and I had my timeline all screwed up. I thought they parted their room at 3:30 when in fact it was more like 2:30. So I was thinking, gosh, I just went to bed, and then he turned around and got out of there and went down to Northport. But when I learned about that, I couldn't imagine why. And then Alex is telling me, well, we have information that he went to your storage unit. So that led us down a rat hole, and then I found out that was completely wrong. That access storage facility hadn't been accessed for 2 weeks. And that was me going to put the lock back on that I had incorrectly relocked my unit 2 weeks ago, now almost 3 weeks ago. So that was wrong. The time of his entering Northport was wrong. It was really an hour earlier, hour and 15 minutes earlier, and he never went access the storage unit. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, he must have been really disappointed if he was coming to this house because he couldn't get in the front door, and that door was locked. And he knew that that if he came in, chances are he would put the dogs on high alert and set them off, which would have got her up. And I asked her, I said, what would you have done if Stephan was standing in the middle of the house and you weren't expecting him? It's like, what are you doing here? And God knows what would have taken place at that point and why he was here.
Dad? Why are you here?
Why did I go to Orlando? Because I can tell you the amount of time I spent with him aggregately. 3 occasions, it was a total of 30, 35 minutes. It's the amount of time that I had spent with him. Because when he got back to that hotel room, the both of them went back to bed and they slept. And there was no waking the dead.
So this is what I mean. They're just sleeping all the time. It's all about sedatives, with them. That morning when Jen was sort of saying, she thought she saw Madeline getting ready or heard her getting ready. She just didn't have a clue. She was, they're so drugged up all the time. They don't eat. She couldn't remember what had happened the day before, could she? And it sounds like Stephan's just as bad. So they've gone to bed. He'll have taken sedatives to just stop him thinking about what he's just done. Jen's out of it just on the normal, they're just sleeping all the time.
And up until 2:00, I'm trying to get him to eat something. Jen and I went down and had some lunch, but I have no idea why he was here, other than to get in the house to get something, maybe try to steal some money from me, maybe steal something of value, to sell it, what have you. Had no idea.
So on Tuesday, when he eventually made it back to the hotel, you're saying you and Jen went to go eat, but Stephan didn't want to go?
No, you could wake him up. He was out of it, dead to the world.
Okay. Now, I was told by Northport PD when they came and talked to, I'm assuming you, one night, that you may have mentioned the dogs barking sometime throughout the night.
They went on high alert and I looked at my watch because I was in here alone. 3:19 in the morning. I had all 5 of them sleeping with me since he wasn't here to sleep with the boys. They all went from dead asleep to springing up in the air and standing on all 4 feet, all of them looking at my window and giving the war bark. That's not a war bark. That's a wolf.
Yeah.
When they do it, it's a sound that will make your skin
Wait to death.
goosebumps.
Mhm.
And I didn't have the gun in my room. I don't usually I don't usually keep it in there. I had to come and look for a flashlight. I let all the dogs out here. And then I did not unlock the security lock on the door. I just took the flashlight and went like this to see if there was a critter in the yard.
Mhm.
We have bobcats, we have all kinds of stuff out here. So didn't see anything in the yard, didn't see anything out the front. Went and looked through the office window, didn't see anything out there, so didn't see a car. I thought, okay, well, we must have had a critter, and I just missed it.
Mhm.
You know, they dig holes and come under the fence and drive the dogs nuts. Rabbits especially, we had one last night.
And you're saying that your code to the storage facility was not used on that Tuesday?
No, the storage unit, Northport Police told me was, they misread it, but they said the last access, because I didn't think Stephan had my access code unless when we were there in December, he decided to memorize it.
Mhm.
And I keep it in my contacts, because obviously I don't use it that often. I'm not going to commit to memory. But I was there 2 weeks ago because they called me up and said, hey, we're doing an audit. We got an audit that's going to happen, and we check all the units, and you didn't lock your unit properly. So it's just slide it over, bolt it, and then it's got 2 holes. You drop your padlock in there, lock it. Apparently, I locked it on the outside.
Mhm.
I didn't think I did, but anyway, it must have. So I went over there the next day and properly locked it. So
Any reason why he would come here? Does he have any other friends or close people that he would?
Well, I mean, he has a limited number of friends. I don't know. Maybe he was going to hook up with one of them. Frank being one of them. It's the one I know that he's
Play a board game, huh?
is closely associated with, and when he goes out, it's with him. And we haven't heard of anybody else that he's socializing with. So I'm assuming he would have gone out with Frank. But other than just gaining access to this house, and there's no way he would have broken in here because impact window's not going to do that. And the front door not working, so he was screw blue tattoo. I checked the car, after the Northport police left to see if there was any marks on the door to see if he was tried to pry the car open, but nope, I didn't see any marks on it. So I guess he was here for an hour and 15 minutes or so before he had to make tracks to get back to Orlando, but I have no idea what he did for that amount of time. Maybe he came down here thinking he would throw the police off. If they obviously found a way to track him or something, maybe they said, oh, he disposed of the body or disposed of something down here, but I have no idea. Other than just coming here and stealing something from us.
You don't know if he has his own credit cards or anything like that, do you?
He has one, maybe 2 credit cards at best that are his, and nothing else.
Okay.
I don't think he may have. I gave him access to a second Chase account that I set up for him, but it hasn't been used for whatever time. So if he has that, it doesn't have any money in the account. So other than that, that's the only thing I would know he had. I gave him. He would have use of the gas card, but I made him fill it up and give me the card back, so he didn't have use of that.
What banks does he have? Chase and.
Well, he has a second account that I set up, but he has his own account with Disney Partners.
Credit union or something.
Okay.
Yeah. But we don't have any access to that, so I don't know what he's got in there when he does.
Have you looked to see if there was any phone activity on your account that you paid for anytime during that Monday, Tuesday area?
I didn't look at his account. To answer your question, no. But then a Wednesday, since he didn't have his phone, I had a spare phone I used for business, which I think you guys have, iPhone mini. And I said, here, use this until you get your phone back. Again, thinking everything's innocent and what have you. And so I gave that to him around 3:00 Wednesday afternoon. I said, use this. And then we went downstairs and met with the detectives, and then they were escorted away. And then the last time saw the phone other than him calling me to tell me that the detective said when they pull into the Orange County Operations Center, they're going to go straight back. And I go, oh, okay. And I'm to go to the left and park out in front of the main building. We're going there for the press conference. And then I get there, and then I'm expecting to meet up with Jen and Stephan to go up to the press conference. And then when trying to reach them, Stephan's phone is dead at this point. It's turned off. Finally, Jen responds to me, and they said they're making arrangements to go inside. You'll get a pass. They'll take you upstairs to the press conference. So by the time I got up there, it was over. And now I'm just trying to, where is everybody? But the only call that came in, because I wiped out everything that I could think of to wipe out. Because if he's going to have access to that phone, like I've got my contacts in there where I put all my passwords and username and passwords. I know that's stored in passwords, but I want quick access to it or something, whatever relevant information. What are you going to do? No, just
stay.
Yeah,
Stay.
just tell me quiet.
That'd be all
So, and then anything else that would have been confidential that I didn't want to have access.
So he also give him a card. He had a card. Might have even been more than one. I sort of lost a bit of concentration there because, well, you know why. So, yeah, seems like he gave him a card as well. I'm just going to play it another 5 minutes or so because the trouble is after it goes on for a while, you do tend to lose concentration. And I think it's important that we listen to this all properly. So I'm going to carry on until the hour. So it's actually 7 minutes.
Access to, I deleted off of there. Because I only expected them to use it for a short time because the police said in the lobby, hey, we're going to give your phone back, we're going to give your car back. Well, I knew what that was about. They're going to escort him without handcuffing and what have you. They wanted him to be comfortable and what have you. So I didn't expect to lose my iPhone as a result of that.
Which you should be able to get that iPhone back, but I'll double check and let you know.
Well, I was going to
The
ask
second-
you that. Yeah. Because I asked Alec about it. He said, well, it's being transferred to Kissimmee. And I said, well, this is going to be a slow process. So anyway.
No, we should be able to get you the iPhone back.
Yeah.
His other phone, no.
No. I would expect that. No.
What about the car?
The card, no.
Yeah, we already know that. Yeah, I've already kissed that goodbye.
Okay.
We use that as a poodle ambulance,
Yes.
Right. Okay.
the silver card, because the dogs go to the vet or if they have some surgeries or
So they want their car back, of course, but of course the car is evidence because Maddie, I don't know if I'd want that car back. Maddie was carried in that car, was she? Or would you even want it back? I suppose it's just being practical. They said they use it as a poodle ambulance. They need to get the poodles to the vets or whatever. But I don't know that I don't know that I would want that poodle ambulance, David. Would you want it back, knowing that Maddie's body had been in there and in the boot? I think I'd be quite happy to see the back of that car, to be honest, and get a different poodle ambulance.
the puppies or what have you.
Mhm.
The back seat, could be smeared with puke, blood, and what else? But we call it the poodle ambulance.
When you gave Stephen this car to go to Kissimmee, clean inside?
No. It's the poodle ambulance. We're not going to have that car detailed. And then if he's using it, and of course Debbie had a bunch of her stuff in it, but no, that car was not clean.
Okay.
And I said, well, if forensics is going to go over that, I mean, I tried to tell somebody, I said, it's a poodle ambulance. There's going to be some leftover puke, blood, or what have you that we weren't able to get out of the seats because they're perforated.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody.
Do you see what I mean about the way he's talking? He's going on, oh, it's a poodle ambulance. It's had a dead body in it of a 13-year-old girl. A 13-year-old girl's dead body in it, in the seat, in the passenger seat and in the boot. And he's just like oblivious to that. It's weird, man.
I hope somebody doesn't get too excited when they hit on something, but it's animal blood as far as I know.
Okay. Have you talked to
What
Stephen
about
since
policemen,
he's been
Rusty?
arrested?
No, we tried to set up a video visitation yesterday. It said we were confirmed. My iPad, my iPhone crashed a couple of times when I'm trying to get on, and then
We had
finally
solar
got it.
flares yesterday.
What?
They said we had 3 solar flares yesterday. Facebook went offline, and a lot of Verizon went off, and some other. And I thought, well, maybe that's what kicked us off yesterday.
But when I finally got on it, he wasn't there. So I kind of expected that could have happened because again, they gave me a warning. They said, if he's not available, he's not going to be available and won't be there. But I figured since I had confirmation, I haven't had any conversation whatsoever.
Have you talked with Jen since he's been
The
arrested?
last conversation,
Right, I'm going to stop there because he's going on to talk about the last time he spoke to Jen and a few. I'll tell you, I mean, it's a long interview. We've listened to an hour, and there's still not quite an hour left, but about 45 minutes left. And, they say even more ridiculous things as time goes on. I just can't believe that he's so obsessed You having a bath? You come to have a bath? It's all right. I've nearly finished now. She's probably like, oh, come and play with me. Spend some time with me. Get off the video. Yeah. There's they want the car back. She's obsessed with getting the car back, and it's had a dead body in it. Jim, we know. We love you too, Jim. We love you too, but we just didn't know what you were going on about. But I think, anyway. Oh, little baby. Oh, look at this beautiful girl. She's such a beautiful girl. So, yeah. So, this car, they're obsessed with getting it back, and it's had Maddie's dead body in it. I honest to God, now they're obviously not short of a few bob. I mean, I know they need that car, and I'm sure they do use it for the poodle ambulance or whatever. But it sounds like it was a cheap car. It wasn't an expensive car. It wasn't a new car. I think I'd just be like, oh, keep the car. Or I'd just get it sold as soon as possible and get a different car. I wouldn't want that car that Madeline's dead body had been in. That's for sure. I definitely wouldn't have wanted to go in that car again. It's horrible, isn't it? David, the goats. Yeah, the goats. How are the goats, Jim? How are they? So that's it. So I'm going to draw it to a close there, just because I'm getting tired now, and I think it's important to concentrate on what they're saying. Now, the part 2 I'll probably do tomorrow in just a normal live. I'm going to edit this live, edit out all my singing in the Oasis bits and what have you, and just put this out as a normal video for people to watch. But yeah, and I've still got to go. I've still got to, go through the Micah Miller affidavit, and also now all this stuff that the police have sent me, loads of it, and decide what I'm going to do with these photos. As I said, I don't think I'm going to show the photos. Maybe on this members next week or something. But they're sort of distressing. I mean, they're not photos. They're not photos with their drawings and things, that scribblings by Madeline. They're very, very sad. Very sad. Okay, so, and after all, you're my wonder wall. So I'm going to go and listen to some Oasis music to make me feel good. And I'll see you tomorrow. So sleep well and take care of yourselves. And until I see you again. Yeah, you've got your... Oh, Yeah, your donkey. Did you send me a picture of the donkey? I can't remember. You sent me a picture. But anyway, so thank you for watching. Not only yous that are here with me, but replay crew and anyone who might be watching who doesn't join in the chat, in the mad chat. It's been a bit of a mad chat tonight. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, as always, may your God go with you. Now, poor Madeline, I was gonna put a picture of Madeline on, but I'm not. I'll wait till I need to do a little tribute video to Madeline that I can put on the end of any video that I do about her. If I get a chance tomorrow, I might do that. Yeah, I need a little tribute video to Madeline. Poor Madeline, she just went through hell, didn't she? She went through hell, and all these people are in care about is getting their car back that the dead girl's been in. Honest to God, no wonder Stephan turned out the way he did. Anyway, adios.